Hi, I'm Lisa Hayden with Channel 6 Central Kentucky TV, focus on Washington County. And today, our first guest is Katie Sims of Springfield, who was just awarded the Knight Award at St. Dominic School. Welcome, Katie.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, first of all, I have got to ask you what the Knight Award is.
Well, it's a award for a non-alumni, and other than that, I guess it's according to some of the things you do. I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
you're nominated by people.
Right. Nominated by people of St. Dominic School, who and parents and parishioners. And for the support you've given to the school and your volunteer work with the school and various things like that, I know. Mm-hmm. And I know you do lots of volunteer work for the school.
Well, I try and do my part. I volunteer in the library one day a week, doing checking out books and taking care of the library. And then one morning a week I work in the preschool. And that's
enjoy
fun.
That.
That's fun, yeah. Yeah, enjoy the kids. And, and I like to keep in touch with the young families.
Right, right.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, you put, you're a member of St. Dominic Church, and you put how many kids through that school?
7.
Yeah.
2 grandchildren. Now 3 great-grandchildren.
That's amazing. So you've got investments in that school.
Indeed.
And now, okay, Katie, so let's go back, because I know you're not a resident of Springfield.
No.
Or Washington County.
I was born in northern Indiana,
okay.
Michigan City.
And now you're going to have to tell me how you got here.
Well, I was in nurses training and through St. Mary's Holy Cross in South Bend. And we affiliated for our psych to Our Lady of Peace. And part of the class went to children's in Louisville for our peds. So I was at Our Lady of Peace, and Harold always liked to say he met me at Our Lady of Peace, which is true. He was a medical student, and we had a mixer, and that's where we met.
Yes. You're speaking of your husband, Harold, Dr. Harold Sims.
That's right.
Okay.
And we met and we married, and he, after his internship in Texas, came back here to practice. And that's how I got here.
And you've been here ever since.
Right, right.
So you and Dr. Sims had 7 children, and Dr. Sims practiced here?
Practiced here. He went in with Dr. Coyle, and then after Dr. Coyle passed, he was in a solo practice here. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then he died in 73.
So you, and I'm very sorry of that, and you had 7 little children, I believe.
Yeah, the oldest was 16 and the youngest was 5.
My goodness. Now, that in itself deserves the Heroes Award. So you had 7 children you were taking care of. And at that time, Katie, were you working at?
No, not outside the home.
Not outside the home, I mean. Of course, I
but
know you were working.
I would substitute down at the office sometimes if somebody was sick or if they were extra busy, but as a general rule, I was not working.
Right. But then I know because when I first met you, you were the head of the health department.
That's right.
That was, what was that? What was your official term?
Clinical director, I think is what they were
Clinical
called.
director.
Mhm.
So you must have at some point gone to practice nursing at the health department after Dr.
Well,
Sims died.
I first went to the school when the elementary school was new. They were going to hire a school nurse, and that was about a year or so after Harold had died, and I applied for that job. And that was through CompCare that they hired that nurse. So I always had a leaning towards pediatrics or public health. And then when Miss McPherson died, I applied for that because I thought that would be a good thing because I would have the weekends off and holidays off with the children.
Yeah.
And that's where I stayed until I retired.
Yes. You were there how many years?
I was there about 25.
So raising those children, working at the health department as a clinical director, and at that time, you, I know at some point in time, served on the city council.
Served on the city council.
How
for
long did you serve on that?
2 or 3 terms, I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Enjoyed that.
Yeah.
That was, I forget, I took maybe, I can't remember whose term who had resigned or died, and they asked me to run, and that was the first woman elected.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I did not know that. Well, that is very significant. Yes, indeed. So, you were the only woman on the council at the time.
I was. Mm-hmm. That was about the time we were still down on Cross Main Street. They hadn't even moved us up, to that nice new office that you have.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So, oh, that's great. That's great. And then during all of that time, of course, you raised those children, and I suppose, of course, your son Mike, he's the oldest.
Nope.
No, Harold's the oldest.
Harold's the oldest.
Harold's the oldest, and he is
He's an attorney in Georgetown.
in Georgetown, right.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so nice seeing them at the awards ceremony.
Mm-hmm.
So it was Harold, and then comes
Lisanne.
who's in occupational therapist.
No, she's a speech pathologist
Well, I knew that.
in Louisville.
That's right, speech pathologist in Louisville.
And then Mike, and of course everybody knows Mike.
Yes, everybody knows Mike Sims, who's got the service station, Sims Shell.
And then Laura is director with Merle Lynch in Bowling Green, and then is Janine. She's in Harrodsburg. She teaches and does some clinical work with a psychologist, clinical management. And then comes John, and he's in Bowling Green with Paul Davis System. And Mary Kay is in Bowling Green. With she teaches in Franklin, Kentucky, but she lives in Bowling Green. So I said I sent 4 to Western and 3 stayed. so,
Well, did you have any particular preference to Western? Being a graduate of there myself.
the kids chose their schools. Harold played ball at Georgetown, and so he left for a while and ended up back in Georgetown, and then Lisanne and Laura and John and Mary Kay all went to Western, and
Yes, that's great. Well, you that kept you busy enough just trying to keep up with them, I'm sure. And so now you have how many grandchildren and how many great?
I have 13 grandchildren and 7 great-grandchildren. 2 step-great-grandchildren besides, so 9. But, it's a big house. When they all, people say, oh, are you still in that big house? I said, well, we fill it up a couple times a year.
Yeah. Oh, that's great when they all come in. So it was really nice seeing them when they were all here. You just wish they could get here more often, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's sometimes much easier to me to go to the activities because their kids are all involved in things.
And so you just go there, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
When I called you about being on here, I think you were in Bowling Green then for
I was babysitting. Will is, you can't call it babysitting. He's 13, but Mom and Daddy had gone to a concert in Memphis, so Granny Kate went down there and babysitted.
Yeah. But, you've been in Springfield now, I don't know how many years. So this is your home.
This is my home, yes, definitely.
And obviously you must, have a love for Springfield or Washington County, or you still wouldn't be here.
I have a deep love for Kentucky, Washington County, yes.
Mm-hmm. And I know you have lots of friends, and you're always out and about at some event or another. And so you really support the community, and
I try to, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's for a small community. It's got a lot of little things going on that we can be proud of.
Yeah. Well, you were one of the ambassadors here at the Opera House for NAIL, and you would show people, I think, around and give them information about Springfield and the county. You've been in the Women's Club.
Yeah.
I mean, tell me some of those things.
Well, the Women's Club was always one of the first things that I joined, and they were very active then. And our project then was the swimming pool, and we would man the concession stands and volunteer to keep that open because as you know the swimming pool is expensive to run even back then, and then we kept the library going. We had it wasn't open all the time. It was at the depot when I moved here, and then it moved up to the maybe it was at the Women's Club building, and then it moved as it got a little bigger. It moved to the depot.
The Women's Club was instrumental in getting
the library. Yes, we went door to door with our petitions all over the county.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
To get the
petition signed, to get the money to build a library in Washington County.
And the state funded that at the time?
At the time. And then the other thing, when I was president of the Women's Club, we started the school for the well, we call it special education now, but there was none. There was none in the school. People who had mentally handicapped children had no way of them going to school.
Of educating their children.
So we worked with CompCare and worked to get some grants, and we started at St. Catherine's, gave us a little place and we had to go around the county then and find the students. You know, of course, the health department and the doctors would help us with locating people who had just, you had to keep a child home.
Right. Right.
And then we operated that for several years before it became mandated that the school have the
special education
special
services.
education.
Now, Katie, was that the school that Jane Barber ran for a while,
No,
or
that
she
Jane-
had the
Jane
dyslexia?
had that was Saturday school. I was
Saturdays,
involved in that too.
Were you involved in that too?
Yeah, that was for dyslexic.
Yeah.
And we used Dr. Shedd's method and would tutor kids on Saturday. And
I remember that because I sent a lot of kids to that Saturday program, and it helped them immensely. To, you know, children that were considered dyslexic, and they learned a lot in that program. So you were involved in that too, huh? And
yeah, bringing back memories.
well, that is great because, you know, a lot of people don't realize how a lot of things did get started here in this county. And I knew that the Women's Club was involved in the funding or getting the library started. So,
Yeah.
yes, indeed.
And you know, and the Women's Club always did the senior banquet.
Yes.
The state bank funded it, but we did the food.
Served it and did the rest of the food because I
this-
helped with that as well. Yeah.
And that started at the old school.
Yeah.
That's no longer standing. And, you know.
The old high school up
old-
behind the Board of Education? Okay.
And then, of course, at that time, we had schools at Wellsburg and Mathwell and Springfield, and I guess the Burg. We invited them all to the senior banquet.
To the high school senior banquet? Yes, indeed. One of the best meals ever. All the ladies fixed the food, and then the school
did the
Clara
chicken.
or some of the group and the ladies in the cafeteria fixed all the fried chicken in those wonderful rolls, of course.
And the potatoes.
And the potatoes. But and then the Women's Club also that you were affiliated with, I know, did used to out to at the state park do tours out there. Were you involved in that?
Yeah, we worked on the grounds at Mordecai's to try, you know, Mordecai's
At the house,
home,
the home.
to try and get them more attractive, and worked on getting that little kitchen there, which didn't really take off, but
Well, it is a great place.
yeah.
I might have to do a interview on that because, you know, that's a great place for wedding receptions and all kinds of things out there. If, you know, we don't use it like we should,
Yeah.
but so you've been in a lot of things. I know very
Well, the Women's
big
Club
in the Women's
started
Club.
the Junior Miss.
Really.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I did not know that, and you were involved in that. So, what year would that have been? I think they just celebrated their.
I'm thinking that Jeanette Reed was our first, 1975, but I may be wrong.
Okay.
But that was about the time. Marion County had it for a while, so we worked with Marion County, and you know, at that time you had to go out and find people to sponsor all the different little awards, and
Right.
people in Springfield have always been generous,
Yes, indeed. That is very
and still
true.
are.
Yes. That's very
Mhm.
true.
Mhm.
Well, that's just like our, BPW Wine and Stein coming up this weekend, and it's just amazing and wonderful how people in this community, in this county, are so generous and sponsor things. Yeah, I hope you're coming to that.
I think I may. My kids don't call me to babysit someplace.
Yeah. Well, Katie, this is just so really interesting. Now, I'm surely leaving something out now before we end this interview, because I know you've been involved in so many things. I think you helped too with theater.
Not a whole lot. My kids weren't at that age, and
But
I support it in every way I can. But
well, I think you've helped volunteer those some, haven't you, or not? No, not in the. I thought maybe you had been. So.
tickets and stuff. No, I hadn't ever done that.
And you received one year was it the Lifetime Achievement Award through the Chamber?
Yes. Mhm.
Yes. You received that award. That was probably
Let's
6
get
years
there.
ago.
At least. Mhm.
And for all your contributions to this community. So you've just gotten all kinds of awards,
Well, thank you. Thank you.
and you've been most deserving.
Well, I don't know about that, but I'm humbled that they chose me.
Well, I want to thank you for being here today and sharing some of this history with us, because it's just most interesting.
Well, thank you.
And let me know, and have I left out anything, Katie, that you'd like to share?
No, I don't think so. We pretty well covered it.
And you're busy with your house and your friends and your babysitting, but you're
Right.
going to continue to.
I love my flowers. I don't have as many, but I do love them.
But I know I'm going to continue to see you around and continuing to.
Well, we're neighbors.
That's right, neighbors, and and I know you'll be still involved in one thing or another.
As long as I'm able.
So, well, thank you and congratulations to you on your award,
Thank
because
you.
it's most deserving, Katie. And thanks for being here.